Thank you. Can you hear me okay? Okay, thank you. Getting mic'd up there. Appreciate everybody being here today. I'm Peter Mahmood, retired U.S. Army. I've led military relations at Cox since 2022. My role is to partner Cox with military bases, veteran service organizations, really to recruit and retain transitioning service members, veterans, and military spouses. I want to talk quickly about our panel. We've got on the end there Michael Prey, Air Force veteran, our co-chair of our Salute Employee Resource Group. So please give it up for Michael. We've got Marva Elder from UPS. She's sourcing supervisor, talent acquisition. Everybody knows Marva works with Lloyd Knight. Everybody knows Lloyd from Vetlanta. So please, round of applause for Marva. Angeline Maines from the Federal Reserve Bank of Atlanta. She's Director of Talent Acquisition at the Federal Reserve Bank and an Army veteran. And we've got Andrew A.J. Wilson, you'll have me call him A.J., Wellstar Health System. He is a Marine. There's no such thing as a Marine veteran. So thank you there. So one other person that's up on the stage, see our eagle up there? That is the Employer Support Freedom Award, presented to Cox Enterprises in October. That's the highest recognition for companies supporting National Guard and Reserve members. So a round of applause for Cox. So for this Vetlanta panel discussion, we're going to focus on how organizations recruit and retain veterans in the workplace. Our panel brings together leaders who have firsthand experience in building veteran-focused recruitment strategies and building environments that foster long-term career growth for those who served. So we're going to invite you to engage, learn, listen, hear insights as we explore best practices for attracting, hiring, and retaining veterans throughout their journey. And we'll have time, hopefully, for some questions at the end. I'm going to start off with AJ Wilson from Wellstar Health. So AJ, what strategies does your organization use to actively recruit veterans into your workforce?
So Wellstar, can everybody hear me? Yeah. Just making sure. So Wellstar recently established a P3 partnership with the Georgia National Guard, which is building our talent pipeline for veterans. We are strategically recruiting in Augusta now. We are building a brand new hospital system in Columbia County. And we also, through our community partnership with the Warrior Alliance, we are expanding our access to local colleges and universities, which is, in return, we're building relationships with on-campus veteran engagement teams to host career fairs and to provide career counseling for veterans starting in 2026.
Great. Thanks, AJ. So we're going to go through a couple of questions with the panel, and then we'll come back to you. Next question is for Angeline. Angeline, how do you ensure your recruiting process is accessible and appealing to veteran candidates at the Federal Reserve Bank in Atlanta?
Excellent. So, and thank you for the question, and it's such an honor to be here. Can I just say Sean's speech was,
Sure.
I've been out of the military for a lot of years, and I was inspired, Sean, so thank you. But at the Federal Reserve Bank of Atlanta, we have a position, programs and partnerships that is dedicated to outreach. And through those partnerships, and part of that outreach is veterans organizations. And through that outreach, we have partnered with Hire Our Heroes, Vetlanta, of course, Work for Warriors, Career Source, South Florida, Paychecks for Patriots. And through those organizations, too, we participate in their events locally in our region. In 2023, we began the fellowship program with Hire Our Heroes, and we brought in veterans there. Sean also mentioned if you want a good team, bring veterans, bring the spouses. bring military spouses, and we have brought on one of the spouses too as part of our Heroes program. So those activities and those partnerships, in addition to partnering with military bases, we're able to socialize our positions that are open, which makes it appealing or available to a broader audience of veterans.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you, Angela. And I'm glad you brought up military spouses. Those of us that are in the business of recruiting veterans and transitioning service members, we know the value that the spouse brings from leadership level down to other levels as well. And I'm glad you talked about partnerships, because that was a question from Marva. So Marva's at UPS. Lloyd and I joke all the time. We compete, and Gabe, when you were at Home Depot, and we were Team Rubicon, right? Who's the biggest in Madison, Atlanta, when we're talking about veterans? But Marva, what partnerships or outreach programs has UPS developed to connect with the veteran talent pipeline?
All right, thanks for that. So, of course, we believe with UPS in our partnerships and helping our veterans, and Orion Talent is one of our partners who has provides us with a large pipeline of veteran recruits. 4Block, which helps with career readiness. American Corporate Partners is one of our great partners. Hire Heroes, of course. Vet Jobs, which has, provides a career platform. Of course, Vetlanta, working with Lloyd and, learning so much about our veterans. We get an opportunity to partner with Vetlanta on a lot of things. Troops to Logistics, 50 Strong, which is an employer engagement opportunity for us. We partner with Microsoft MSSA, which is a tech upskilling pipeline, very helpful. Kentucky Valor, Work for Warriors, and of course ESGR, which provides Guard and Reserve employee support. So those are some of our biggest outreach and our biggest engagement programs that we have.
That's great, thank you. Okay. So when we talk about, and we're really talking about the recruit question right now, so we're talking about kind of the acquisition of talent, bringing in talent. One of the words, the common themes that you're going to hear across all of the companies is partnership, right? And, at Cox, we're partnered with about 24 bases all across Atlanta, all across the U.S. With the Guard and Reserve. So, that key word of partnership is going to come up quite a bit. Patrick mentioned the TAP, the Transition Assistance Office, right? Where service members, myself and our other recruiters that work with, like Mathella, that work with the veterans, bringing in veterans into Cox, we're partnered with these transition offices, with these TAP offices, right? As these soldiers are going through their transition. So we're doing a lot of work on the front end to have the results on the back end of these partnerships. But thank you for mentioning the partnerships. 50 Strong, ACP, American Corporate Partners, Hiring Our Heroes, and Hire Heroes USA with Elena that's here today. I'm going to volunteer as a mentor, I'm sure, down the road with you. But let me ask a question to Michael. Michael, when we're looking at hiring, how do we leverage hiring managers and recruiters so they really understand the value of military experience during the hiring process? What do you think? How do we make these recruiters and managers understand what we all in this room know about value?
And one of the most encouraging things about Cox is the leaders' openness to veteran talent. A while back, a VP came to me and said, "Hey, I want you to help me find a veteran." I started to talk to him about skill sets and things. He was like, "I'll train them. You just find me a veteran." Because he understood up front, what's behind that military title, whether it's mission focus, the reliability, pressure tested leadership. And, veterans have led 5, 15, and apparently up to 100 people, and they've run 24/7 operations with zero margin for error. Things are really on the line, and so what I do is I help hiring managers and others translate those experiences into outcomes, into numbers. You can always solidify on numbers, and it helps get everybody kind of around the same thing, whether it's team size, operational scale, assets managed, right? Real measurable results. And then once leaders see the numbers, they're no longer asking, whether the veteran can do the job. They ask how fast they can bring them in. So it's really quantify the experience, and the value is undeniable.
Yeah. That's great. I had a Cox Communications leader come to me last year and says, Peter, we're standing up a network operations center, and we're looking for a team with veterans. And I said, we can find a sprinkling of veterans with telecommunication background to help you with this network operations center. And he says, no, I don't think you understand. I only want veterans. I want a team of veterans, not just some veteran hires. So the demand is there, why we bring them in, other than transferable skills. When I talk and on some of the bases, and I want, and kind of Sean hit on this, when we hire veterans, this is not charity. Right? We're not hiring you because you're a veteran. We're not recruiting you because you're a veteran. We're recruiting you a lot of times because you're the most qualified person for this role that we're bringing you into. So we got to remember that. We're not doing all this just because we're veterans. We're doing this because of what veterans bring. So let's talk a little bit about retaining veterans, which is the role of our ERGs and our folks in the room. So for AJ, once veterans join your organization, what initiatives are in place to support their transition and success?
That's a great question. Going off script here a little bit, I've heard a lot of words that really appeal to me: mentor, support, transition. For myself, transitioning out of the military was grueling, still is to this day. It's just something you deal with on a daily basis. And every stop I've made along the way since I transitioned out of the Marine Corps, I had a person I could rely on. I reached out, I found help, a mentor. Every company I worked for, every college I stopped at, and I recently actually joined Wellstar. I've been with Wellstar about a year and a half, and within a month of joining Wellstar, I had my first Wellstars and Stripes BRG meeting. And I was lucky enough to meet an individual some of you may know, Michael Collins. Michael Collins had been with Wellstar for about 18 years and worked his way up through the ranks. He was a ER tech to start and eventually made his way up to Director of Organizational Development. He attained his bachelor's and master's degree through Wellstar's tuition reimbursement program, and actually encouraged me, come January, I will start my MBA. Wellstar values their veterans. They push you for professional and personal growth. I have realized, being with Wellstar, that the opportunities are endless, and they, whichever direction in the healthcare system you want to go, whether it's operations, recruitment, talent acquisition, they push you in that direction. And I now realize the value that I have to the company. And with that being said, moving forward, I am now co-chair of the Wellstars and Stripes BRG with Michael, and I look forward to the growth of our group within the healthcare system in the coming future.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you. Just so, having a solid employee resource group, and we're going to talk definitely on these groups. But so Angela, I want to talk a little bit about culture. We talk about veterans, and everyone talks about the veteran culture, the company culture. I mean, what is that? So how do you foster a culture at the Federal Reserve Bank that encourages veterans to stay and grow within your organization?
Yes. It starts at the beginning for us in the onboarding process. And so when a veteran has accepted an offer to join our company, we partner them with a buddy. And that is so important, as Sean said, that transitioning out of the military into a corporate environment, transitioning out period is a big deal, but transitioning into a corporate environment, which is very different than a military environment, is change management internally. And we try to manage that by partnering them with a buddy, and we specifically look for a veteran buddy, if there is one available, to sort of be there, ask those questions, talk them through. So it starts in the beginning. We have a program at the Fed that I think is unique to the Fed. We call it Career Experiences. It used to be Talent Share, where if as a veteran there is something else that you want to do, you get an opportunity to try it. You know, you're in talent acquisition, I'm a veteran, if I want to go and try finance, I can try it out. If I'm a good fit, I learn something that works. If not, you go back to the job that you were at. So we offer what's called career experiences that our veterans are able to participate in. We have other benefits that we think are not only employee friendly, but military, friendly as well. So through our benefits, our career experiences, and having a buddy with you from day one is how we keep them engaged. The other thing that we also do, and this is a little bit off script too, when we hire veterans, we know they come tried and tested, and especially when we hire leaders, we try to make sure that they're on a team with a strong leader. No one will eat you alive quicker than a veteran that has been through strong leadership, that is resourceful, that can figure it out. And you're laughing, but it's true, right? So you need to pair them with a strong leader. I would not hire a veteran and partner them with a leader that I didn't know had the, I forget the term you use, but the chops, if you will, to be able to manage someone that has proven that I can figure it out, I'm resourceful, I'm not gonna hit the panic button every time something happens. So we make sure that we're cognizant of that. The other way we keep them engaged through our programs and partnership, this is my last thing, we have Krista DeKreiger, who is our programs and partnership manager, that makes sure when we onboard a veteran that they are engaged and connected in every way. And so we appreciate her for that, so thank you.
That's great. So when we're at a veteran panel, there's no such thing as off script. You guys know we're gonna tell. We know we're gonna tell stories. So off script. One of the things that Sean brought up and that Angelin brought up is the idea of pairing people together. The idea of taking, and in the military we do the battle buddy system, right? Taking a weak person, right? I was a recruiting commander in the Army. I would take my weakest recruiter and pair them with my strongest recruiter. There's no way your weakest individual is not going to benefit from partnering with your strongest individual, right? So the way that you partner people and drag, like Sean said, drag people along is really how it's ingrained in us in the military on how to lead and how to create leaders, right? You're a follower first and then you're a leader. So thank you for that. But another word we talked about was mentorship, right? So Michael, shameless plug for Cox on our mentorship programs. So what role do mentorship programs play at Cox in helping retain veteran employees, and any salute examples on mentorship?
Yeah, for sure. And there's some key words that you'll hear again and again. Retention grows when veterans feel understood, when they feel supported, and that's exactly what Salute does here at Cox. I'm one of three co-leads, and Jared Miner there is representing one of the three companies as well. Just last month, and I saw Ricardo again here tonight. Just last month, a couple Salute veterans members joined the 4-block cohort hosted here on campus, and we were helping about 20 transitioning service members. Really, we use the word translate, right? Translate their experiences to measurable outcomes, measurable achievements, so that they could, use them in their resume as well as in their interviews. And we do the same internally as well. We talked about having a mentor internally too when veterans join the team, and sometimes ahead of time, right? We want to pair them with those new veteran hires with someone who's been through it already, and help them navigate the culture, and help plug them into opportunities they wouldn't necessarily know about otherwise. Right? And I agree with you. The faster you ramp them up and you get them engaged, it gives them that opportunity to really feel that belonging. So the VP I mentioned earlier, he wanted veterans because he sees what happens, when the veterans are part of a supported community. Their performance accelerates, and ERGs then, our ERG and others too, help that support. It breeds belonging, right? And then belonging drives retention. So it's really bringing that mentorship and community, keep the veteran growing.
Thank you, Michael. I don't know if Charles Davis is still here.
He's right
Oh,
there.
it's Charles. So when I first started at Cox, all with these ideas that I had, and I remember Charles, the previous salute lead, before Michael and Jared, I was able to brief our salute team. They're probably like, who's this guy Peter wanting to run all these ideas on? But I asked for help in 3 areas, and I call it the 3 R's. Recruiting, reception, and retention, right? So what your employee resource group can do and what your leaders can do, you need help in 3 ways. The main thing that our team works on now, and I work in Cox Talent Acquisition on our team in talent attraction, is recruiting. The second thing is reception. How were our veterans treated, and our military spouses, when they are arriving at Cox, right? So that's the recruiting, reception, and retention. The last thing is, what do we do to retain these veterans that we're here? So we need help in these 3 areas, right? Your talent acquisition, your ERG, your HR team, your hiring managers all have to work together to keep veterans here, right? So on that question now for Marva, how do you measure the long-term success and retention of veterans at UPS? Any veteran success examples?
So one thing about UPS, yes, I'm going to plug UPS. We do prioritize in not just hiring veterans, but developing and retaining veterans. So we also have 2 key groups that work directly with veterans. We have the Veterans Business Resource Group, which they work with mentoring, community building, which is very important. When you're coming into a new company and you're not sure what the culture is, we like to pair our veterans with the business resource group so that they can absolutely understand that culture and also know that they have someone that they can call on and count on. We also have a veterans mentorship group, which is totally different, where we train veterans business resource leaders to actually pair with a new veteran, and we pair them with leaders who are veterans. And as Sean said, bringing them up, and it does help. What we've found is with doing that, it does help our veterans to grow, which allows us to retain our veterans, keeping them engaged, keeping them in things that they understand, not making them bored, because we do understand that, if they are bored, they're not gonna stay. And me being a civilian who supports veterans, I have come to understand that. So it's about getting them with someone who is a strong leader in the beginning. And with that, we've had successes with veterans. We have veterans who are VPs. We have veterans who have come in and absolutely taken over. One of the other, I say we're a team of 3. He's a Marine veteran, and he has come out come out the box. So he doesn't know that I'm saying that he is a success story, but he really is, because he came in and he was resilient. It took a year to get him on board because of the budget, but he stayed the course. He you wouldn't have known that he was not a UPS employee, but they got him on, and he hit the ground running. And I consider him as a success story as a veteran because he could have left and gone anywhere else. But he stayed engaged and he stayed loyal. And because of that, he is rocking and rolling with UPS. And I love that. He helps me out. He does the recruiting. He's just on board. He's in Texas, but you would know it. He's all over California. He goes everywhere. It doesn't matter. So that's a success story for me. And he's involved in the BRG as well. And he's also, Lloyd is one of his mentors. So it's about bringing them up and making sure that they understand they have a support system.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. All right, well, so we're gonna get some final thoughts for the panel. You know, I wish we had an hour, but like Sean said, we need to do some intentional networking at the end of our events. So we're gonna go some final thoughts. I'm gonna ask the panel members, I'll start with Angeline. Just for what advice would you share with this Vetlanta group on the topic, any part recruiting or retaining veterans?
I think the networking is important, and it's a skill that you have to develop. And I think an easy way to ease into that is partner with some of the organizations. Work for Warriors, Hire Our Heroes. There's a couple of variations of Hire for Heroes, but partner with those organizations that have veterans in there that are a little bit further along in their journey that can help you with the networking. Technology, LinkedIn, there's 100 million people out there, and then there's also veteran groups on LinkedIn that you can join and learn when activities are ongoing. So the networking is important to ease you into it, partner with organizations and with veterans that are a little bit further along in their journey.
Thank you, Andrew. AJ, any final thoughts on recruiting or retaining veterans?
To piggyback on what you said about networking, when I transitioned out, when I finally started coming out of my shell and becoming more of a civilian, I'd say. Sean, you already got a LinkedIn request from me, I think yesterday or something like that, but don't be afraid to reach out. Your network, I've been in recruitment 10 years, primarily in mental health, but I've known folks across the industry as far as recruitment goes, technology, healthcare, finance, and when I see a veteran or just a friend of mine that's lost his job and is eager to get back into either recruitment or sales, I'll tap into my network. I'll reach out to folks I haven't spoken with in 5-10 years, and I'll say, hey, I got this guy, I vouch for him, give him a call, it's worth it. So definitely, networking is probably the biggest thing I would take away from recruitment and retention, because what you're doing here, if you're looking for a job, hit somebody up, because somebody's looking to hire someone. So,
Okay. Michael, any final thoughts?
I 100% agree with you. Yeah, so for most veterans, when you take the uniform off, the service doesn't end, right? And we served our country, we served our teams, we served our communities, and that instinct to serve, it doesn't disappear, right? It just shifts, right? It shifts a little, and at Cox you see veterans, step back into service, whether it's mentoring new hires we talked about, supporting recruiting, volunteering, or even helping others in that transition, just navigate that transition. So that sense of purpose is a huge part of why I think veterans stay engaged and why they thrive. Right? So my advice is simple. Help them translate their experience. Help them in their transition, support their transition, and then provide a path and a community. So when companies give veterans a place to keep serving, they don't just succeed, they elevate everyone. So it's a different uniform, but the same mission, serving others.
Thank you, Michael. Marva, final thoughts for the group on recruiter retaining veterans?
The basic thing, of course, is networking, but I would like to say don't be afraid to ask questions. If it's something you don't understand, please ask another veteran. Ask what their story is. That may help you. Ask a civilian. It may help you. Don't be afraid to get those resumes where they need to. Ask for resources. There are so many resources out here, and I've learned that, and I've also found that a lot of veterans don't know about those resources. So get on LinkedIn, get with people who are in the field that you think you want to be in, and just don't ever hesitate to ask the questions, because it's a lot of knowledge out there, and we're all here to help, right? And here to help each other. So definitely network, ask questions, please.
We're doing on time. We got time? Any, I would like to take a question or two from the audience. Fred has a microphone. He's going to come over to you. Fred, I'll get Fred running. PT time, Fred. Thank you. I'll just take a couple questions.
Green
Thank you.
Bradley, retired Army. First of all, I'd like to thank your organization for hiring veterans, because as all of you mentioned, veterans need missions in order to be successful and continue in life. Without missions, they kind of fall short. Sadly, one of the reasons why our suicide rate and our homeless issue is the way it is right now with veterans is because a lot of them haven't had an opportunity to receive a mission. So thank you for doing that, and I encourage you to continue to hire veterans as often as possible, so we can, again, give them a purpose, because veterans need a purpose. And then the second part I have is on your hiring process. Are your companies, because we have veterans that have served, unfortunately some of them had received injuries during their service to the nation, but they still have all those capabilities that they still can bring to the table. Do you have programs to bring on those veterans that have service-connected disabilities that still have a desire to utilize all those talents and skills into a corporation or a company?
Yeah, well, of course, at Cox, we're a DAV member, the Disabled American Veterans. We specifically recruit, through our disability programs, disabled veterans, which is still one of the protected categories right now that we can recruit for, is veterans with disabilities. So I encourage all of you, and not sure if anyone else on the panel does that. I'm sure they do, but have disabled veteran hiring programs. Question?
Thank you all so much for
Brother
that
Jason.
fantastic input. Get it? Yes. Knew you were going to get a question from me. But to the panel, anyone who would like to answer, what are some of the things within corporations that make all of these things we talked about challenging, and who in the organization is best able to make those problems go away?
Okay, go ahead, AJ.
So I spoke with Mike about this earlier. So our Well Stars and Stripes BRG meets once a month. It's on a Thursday, it's at 4 p.m. And we have 2,000 veterans in our healthcare system. And sometimes on these calls, you only got 4 to 10 people. You got RNs that are running the floor in the ER, you got folks all over the place. So how do we gain more exposure to these folks so they know that we have the BRG? Michael Collins and I are actually working on building out a plan to develop, to strategize to bring more of these folks in. Maybe we need to change the times of the meetings, or the last meeting we had in October, I asked everybody, our next meeting, I think we had 8 folks on the call. I said, hey, your next meeting, you're in the office, you're a practice manager, you're surrounded by other employees at Wellstar. Bring one more veteran, or tell one more veteran about the Wellstar BRG. Bring us their email if they can't make the call, just so we can reach out to them. So as I mentioned, we're trying to build out a database so that we can have all the veterans, because in our database Workday, you can click that you are a veteran. So we're trying to build out a contact list so that more people understand that we do have opportunities for veterans to be a part of something within Wellstar.
Yeah, one of the things, I'll piggyback, Jason, I know we talked about this last month, is, create more allies, right? Especially folks at the AVP and above level, right? Invite presidential level Grace to be our speaker, so she sees this veteran community in Atlanta. I mean, Atlanta has the number 5 city in veteran hiring in the United States, right? Hire Heroes USA was on the local news talking about your communities, but do your leaders know the veterans in your organization? Probably they don't, all of them. So, the current is create more allies. And allies are great at the ground level, but we are working from the entry level all the way up to the director, to the AVP level and higher, if we can.
Peter?
Sir, Michael?
I'll say one of our biggest opportunities, and we keep getting better and better every year, is just the communication around it, right? So try to work around the rules, or within the rules, I guess, of getting veterans and their allies, spouses, families, and, awareness that Salute exists. It's for everybody, it's not just for veterans. And, the capabilities and opportunities that we provide for folks, but that goes to the value. Why do you want to get engaged with Salute? What do they do? And as far as the communication, we've got places all over the country. So our central ERG set it up that it ends up working pretty well, where you've got the centralized groups. This is our headquarters. But then we've got ambassadors across the country in the different regions, and then we've got different roles that are responsible for different things across all those areas. So it's somewhat like the military. You don't have everything coming from one group to everyone always. You have your fingers of communication that go out, and ideally they come back too. But it remains, when you've got thousands of people across hundreds of different locations, there continue to be opportunities to improve that, right? So I'm listening and taking notes too,
So, for those of you, and we're gonna close out now with some final thoughts, but, for those of you that have ERGs and have veterans in your organizations, we all answer to this level. I work in talent acquisition, but I also answer to my ERG leaders, right? I have my leader, Jasmine, and my leaders in Cox Talent, but I answer to the ERG. We as military folks, prior military folks, we value structure, we value organization, and as Sean said, we like challenge, right? We want to be challenged. So, but we also understand chain of command, and we understand how to rise and how to work with different leaders, right? So that's a challenge, but I thank you all. I want to give the panel a round of applause. Thank you so much. I'm going to close out and turn it back over to, I get to quote my friend Sean here. Recruit veterans with intent, retain veterans with purpose. So thanks, Sean, for that quote. I'll be using that next week on the base. I'll turn it over to Patrick. Thank you.